Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to Wisco Sports Pod with Dom, episode 3. Today with me, I have big Wisconsin sports fan Steven Theo. Steven, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
All right.
Packers won, so we're in a great mood.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk a lot about the Packers game today, and then just give a quick brief preview into the Bucs season, what we think about that, how we think it's going to go. But just to get started, Steve, what were your genuine, gut reactions to the Packer game?
I think we still own the Bears. That's my genuine reaction.
I think Rodgers would agree.
You just watch these games, and I think Bears games especially, they kind of take you out of the season, like the larger scope of the season. When you're playing against the Bears, it doesn't really matter if the Bears are terrible, if the Packers are not that great that year. It's still the Bears week, and it's always treated with a different kind of energy where rest of the season doesn't matter. It's like especially that game. So I don't know, it was great. It started out as bad as I think you thought it would, and I kind of thought it wasn't going to be. I didn't think it was going to be a
10-0 start. It was 7-0, but I had a feeling. Usually in those noon games, it seems like the home team always comes out firing, ready to go, and then Packers were just a little slow started. Offense didn't look too good, but the defense didn't look good on their first drive either, but that's always expected. Bears had a few obviously scripted plays probably just to walk down the field, but after that the defense really kicked in like I thought they would. Held 0 points until I think the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the first drive of the fourth quarter. But the Packers, they started with the ball and they actually moved it really well. They were already into I want to say they were at the Bears 40, but then they got that sack and that killed it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought for sure we were going to come away with points right there. And then I think it was Khalil Mack who got that sack and he got in Rodgers' face. And
first
I was like, oh, geez.
Defense made.
But anyway, the rest of the game it was a lot of fun.
It was really a classic Bears-Packers game.
It really was. It wasn't like last year where both games were kind of blowout.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. But it's just a normal Packers-Bears games where it's just a fist fight and Packers usually just find a way to pull out. So pull away with it. So I don't
know. Yeah, Rodgers, obviously. I didn't get to watch most of the first drive. I was quickly driving home from work after leaving a bit early, unannounced, but I did. And I listened on the radio. I listened to Rodgers' 15-yard run, and then I got back to my house right as the Josh Myers injury happened. So I think maybe that threw a bit of a, wrench in the Packers' opening drive, not having him, then having Lucas Patrick come right out, not obviously probably prepared to be in the game that early, maybe, which led to the offensive line broke down, allowing that max sack. So, it's expected. But like I said,
did you see that LaFleur said that he blames himself for that injury?
No, I didn't.
For Josh Myers.
I didn't see what happened.
I didn't really see the play that many times either, but it was some call that he made that I think made him do it, some kind of weird block it might have been, and he said it was a play call that put him in the position to get hurt. But it's not season ending, which I didn't even know it was that serious right away.
So yeah. Well, I saw when they cut to him walking to the locker room, he looked like he was in a decent amount of pain, but he was walking on it. So he said it wasn't season ending, but I assume it'll be a few weeks. He might be out. So
I wouldn't. That which is really unfortunate. But
Packers O-line has stepped up all year. They've had a lot of injuries they're dealing with, so I'm not too worried about it. And obviously, they held the Bears front very well. Akeem Hicks, Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack, all those guys. I think they only had 12 pressures, which is really good to hold the Bears D-line to with our, just piece together guys here and there offensive line. So I was very proud of the O-line for sure.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I haven't really been too worried, especially since I want to say 2019, because a couple years before that, it was always Rodgers getting sacked, and it was just brutal to watch. I can't tell you how many times I would watch us on 3rd and 8, and he would take a 5-yard sack, and that still happens. But it's just I have so much more trust, and even with all the injuries, it's just it almost makes when you have more injuries, I almost trust the O-line more because you have these backups who have played so much that it's not like they haven't played in forever and you're just throwing them in cold. You got guys like Lucas Patrick or Dennis Kelly was out, but like you have these guys who you can throw in and you have complete trust in them, but you still want to be healthy and you
I
still
will
want
say it was definitely nice having Elton Jenkins back. It seemed like the left side of the line really held up most of the game.
yeah, I think he gave up one sack to Robert Quinn, but other than that, he was good, which is the first game back. So.
First game back, that's fine. But yeah, outside of that, I like if you listen to my podcast on Thursday, I really kind of the game didn't surprise me in any way. You know, I knew Packers offense would struggle for a bit. They eventually figured it out. Obviously, the run game really got going between Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. Nothing too surprising. Like I said, it was just one of those classic Bears Packers games where very physical. You know, obviously it's a very historic rivalry. The teams don't like each other, but it's usually, you know, the Packers will always just kind of win the game by 2 scores just because the Bears have never really had that offense to keep up with us. But they have the defense to hold us down a little bit. And I mean, I think the score could have been very different, you know, a few calls here and there both ways. But, you know, just because they were going both ways, I still think the Packers, like, they obviously win the game. I mean, don't tell the Bears that because they think they were completely robbed of a win after putting up 0 points for like 3.5 quarters.
Most of the game, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know if you agree with this. Just one thing I wanted to say is that one thing I've noticed from watching these last 5 weeks after the Saints loss is I feel like the Packers are playing with, even though this year is the last dance and it being potentially the last year for Rodgers and Devontae, it's just, you feel like there should be this added pressure on the Packers that this is it. Like if you don't do it this year, you might not sniff an NFC Championship game for a couple of years because you never know how anything's going to go. But I've felt a sense of like there's not a lot of pressure, even though like on the team, because from just what I've seen, it feels like with all the injuries and all the bad breaks they've had, it feels like no one's really expecting the Packers to be playing at this amazing brand of football that's just routing teams.
Yeah.
I feel like as long as they're getting these wins and they're making positive movements towards becoming a better playoff team, that's all that matters. And that's what they've been doing. Like I say, just because they haven't beaten teams as handily as they were last year, I feel like it's not the worst thing in the world. And honestly, it's probably better for us because there are these big injuries that you can easily point to and say they're not as good of a team because of this player being out, because of this guy being out. It's brought a sense of less pressure on the team. They can just go out there and win games and not have to feel like they need to prove something, which I think has definitely come through. Now, that being said, you know, they probably can't play the way, like at least start the way they've started these past couple of weeks against teams like the Cardinals or the Rams or Kansas City. They need to be better for those games, but I think I've been very encouraged because with all these injuries, if they lose a game, it'd be so easy to just point to it and be like, well, the Packers aren't at full strength. But I've definitely been impressed with what I've seen through these last 5 wins.
I've definitely one thing that I notice is there's a lot of fight in this team. They've had some things, especially, you know, when we played Detroit, we were down on 3. We were losing on like 3 different occasions, but we would always come right back and score and tie things up or take the lead again. Obviously, the San Francisco game, that definitely wasn't easy. I think we played, obviously, you know, there wasn't too much in the Steelers game. We won that one kind of easily. But then next week after that, the Bengals, with everything that was happening. I mean, it's just these games that in the past, it feels like the Packers would have lost, but they're starting to win these games and they're starting to show more fight and resilience against adversity that they have to overcome, which I think will be huge for them looking forward for the rest of the season, going into the playoffs, obviously, because, you know, years past, we haven't had too much of that. Most of our losses in the last 2 years with LaFleur were just kind of blowout games, like kind of just like the Saints game. That's our losses with LaFleur, just random outlier games. But it's, and all of our wins the past 2 years, like you said, were, you know, none of them were really close. Like we weren't having Mason Crosby run out for game-winning field goals every other week.
Yeah.
So I
And
definitely like the they're having to learn to overcome some adversity, which will be big for them in the playoffs, I think, at least.
oh yeah, totally. And another thing, it's really hard to compare, but it kind of reminds me of with like the Bucks a little bit, just because last year was the year where great all regular season, first team in the NFC, MVP, just historic offense, just everything pointing toward the Super Bowl run, and it didn't work out. And then this year you can realize, like, I don't need Rodgers to have 50 touchdowns. I don't need him to win MVP. He's proved that he's at that level. He doesn't need to like do this for us to win. I think that's another thing with the pressure thing is you don't need to prove anything this year. Just get in the playoffs, play your best football there, and make it to the Super Bowl. You don't need to have this historic all-time team kind of run like the Bucks were third in the East. They weren't too impressive in the regular season, but just play your best ball in the playoffs, and I think it'll work out, which is a far way away, obviously.
Yeah.
7,
Long way to go. Who knows how many more injuries will happen, but I definitely think that this team has shown like the more fight, and like they could be, they've been to the NFC Championship game the last 2 years, so they're going to be playing with that chip on their shoulder. They, like you said, the Rodgers, maybe his last year with Green Bay, you never know. But I just think, but like you just to come back to where this started, you would think that there'd be so much pressure on this team, but it just doesn't really seem like it. They seem playing very loosely, obviously having lots of fun out there. Rodgers, sticking it to the Bears fans, all the guys behind him laughing, screaming at the fans too.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like a team who's got, these like huge Super Bowl or bust expectations, just with how.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I like, but on the field, they're definitely playing like a team who will make the Super Bowl this year, I think.
But do you have a team MVP or most improved player so far this year?
So yeah, the team MVP for me so far this year, it's tough because there's so many guys. I think if I wanted to do a team MVP, I would pick an offensive and defensive player. Offensively right now, it's a toss up between Adams and Jones, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, Adams was on pace for a historic, like near 2,000 yard season already. And Jones is scoring touchdowns left and right. So if it was on offense, it'd come down. I think I'd give it to Adams just because he's unstoppable almost. Like he's double and triple teamed every play and still putting up these historic numbers. It's absurd.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Adams. I think Jones is having a really good year, and I think he could be having a better year if they would give it to him more.
I like it though. Obviously, he could be having a better year, but I think it's good for AJ Dillon to also be getting these reps because obviously running back is one of the most injury-prone positions in the NFL. So Jones could potentially go down at any time, and Dillon's going to have to be ready to step up into that number one role.
Yep.
But I've definitely, and then I guess first I'll talk about defense MVP so far. Definitely, my heart tells me Devondre Campbell, just because of what he's done for us, but I got to go with Kenny Clark right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Devondre Campbell.
What's up?
I was just going to say, I think Devondre Campbell's definitely been the biggest surprise this year, or like the most encouraging thing on defense this year, far and away, because no one was expecting Kenny Clark to be anything less than what he has been, which has just been a force. And did you see the LaFleur quote where he said he thought he was going to throw up when he saw him on the ground? I think that's how we all felt because I was going to cry. I was very upset.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I think that's
another injury.
I think that's a pretty easy pick. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty he comes back. Wait, what were you trying to say now?
I was just saying I think that's a pretty easy pick for MVP, especially with Jair out, to go with Kenny Clark. So.
And then for most improved player, transitioning from our AJ Dillon talk, definitely him offensively. He's looked like a very good runner, especially when he gets downhill and just starts running. There's not many singular people who can tackle him. It's always going to take more than one, just because of how big of a force he is running through the line, running people over, running through tackles, getting these big, 7-8 yard runs almost every time, it feels like. But I think what LaFleur is doing wrong is he's trying to get Dylan outside runs too much, which I mean, I guess is good to try and balance it out so teams can't just prepare for the inside runs, but it seems like wasted plays when we, move him on the outside runs. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I definitely would have to like research that a lot more on specific runs with AJ Dillon. I've noticed what you're talking about. I think, yeah, that's fair. Just feed him inside. That's what he's built for. Like that very last drive where we started kneeling it when he just ripped through everyone, where you expected the Packers maybe in years past where they would just get stuffed, punted, and the Bears would attempt some last ditch effort that would fail. But no, they just finished it by pounding it inside. And I think that's fair. I think he's also just trying to expand AJ Dillon's game, because if there's one thing we've noticed, he's a much better catcher of the ball than he was coming out of college. He had a catch last week for a touchdown. I think that's so important for him to develop that part of his game because he can be good at it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for the Packers after losing Jamal Williams, who you would see a lot in that, late down pass catching role. I think it's definitely good to see Dillon being able to catch these passes and make plays off them too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
just for and then defensively, I just wanted to touch one more thing for improved player. He's improved every year since his rookie year. Rashawn Gary seems like he's inches away from the quarterback on every play. I think he's ninth in the NFL in quarterback pressures, maybe something like that. But it just seems like we're just waiting for, I think at some point he's going to just explode and start getting some of these sacks. But I saw a lot of videos on Twitter of, guys being sent over to help double Rashawn or him getting chipped off the line by tight end. So I think it's good to see that with Za'Darius out. It makes me wonder how much better we could be with, Za'Darius, Preston, and Rashawn all healthy.
Yeah, did Preston Smith leave the game? Did they even report on that?
I saw the snap counts. He only had 8 snaps, and I replied to it because I was thinking in the car while I was driving to go work out this morning. I was like, did Preston Smith play in this game?
Yeah, that's how I felt. Then
I saw the snap count. He only played 8 snaps. Apparently, he left early with an injury, but I mean that his presence. It didn't seem to affect the Packers. Obviously, with guys like Jonathan Garvin coming in making plays.
Yeah,
that was
he should have had
cool.
2 sacks.
Darius Hamilton, another guy who was in there. He wasn't making too many plays, but just did a good job of giving guys rest. But I think the Packers are deeper at some of these positions that you don't expect them to have the depth at. Jonathan Garvin, I think he's a 7th round pick from last year out of Miami.
Yeah, if not, 2019, something like that, 2020, 2019. He's definitely not been playing a ton, but I agree with your Rashawn Gary pick, and it's really frustrating because I see a lot of people still hating on him on Twitter, and it's really confusing. I think it's just really unfair because he was the 14th pick, and people have such high expectations for him, which he's like exceeding. He's playing great. He's not a liability at all. He's
improving every year.
He's constantly improving, and it's just because people only look at sacks.
Yeah,
people think that he's not producing enough, and it's like, man, he's doing so much. He's doing so much already, and he's obviously only gonna get better. He'd be my pick too. He'd be my pick as well. I think Savage has improved a lot. I think Darnell Savage has improved a lot, but
he's iffy. It just seems it almost reminds me of the line, like a Jalen Smith, where he's very fast, very fast player, definitely has the physical attributes, but sometimes it just seems like he can be a step behind on certain plays. Sometimes shies away from the physicality. I remember one of the Khalil Herbert runs, he kind of just, threw his body out there, thought that would work as a tackle. Herbert got another 4 yards after it.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But he's definitely improved somewhat. I would have liked to see him intercept that ball against Joe Burrow last week or 2 weeks ago now.
Or at least just knock it down.
Yeah. I don't know. I like him. I think he'll be a good player. Obviously, football is something you can teach. You can't really teach his speed and, strength for his size, which is he'll evolve. I think working with Amos too definitely helps him, who's been somewhat shaky this year, I want to say, but I don't know. I think he's been good. I think the Packers are doing very well for the position they've been put in with some of these injuries.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then,
What did you think?
what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, did you like what you saw from Justin Fields yesterday or not really?
Um, he's a rookie quarterback playing in a poor offensive system with a poor offensive line. He was running around a lot yesterday. Packers had 21 total pressures on him, I think. So I don't like what I'm seeing from any of the rookie quarterbacks right now. I think all of them are underperforming. I talked to Max. Max, he's a Bears fan. For anyone who doesn't know, he says he's liking what he thinks Fields has a very good mindset, and he understands that it's going to be a process, which is good. And I hope all Bears fans understand that, because there's no reason to expect immediate success with, it's really just the offensive system. I think that I see a lot of Bears fans complain about it, and I saw it yesterday. I don't know. It's obvious. It's just a work in progress for the Bears right now. And do I think he'll be good? I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's the answer. I don't think he's gonna turn this franchise around 5 years down the road. I guess to say that.
I sort of agree. I do think he's going to be better than okay. I think he's going to be. I mean, if Mitch Trubisky can be an all-star or a Pro Bowler, I think anything's possible. But I think he's going to be better than okay. I saw a lot yesterday that it would be encouraging if I was a Bears fan. There was a lot of erratic throws, and a lot of it's system, O-line, coaching. His receivers are good, but like, there's just a lot that goes into.
I think he has 3 really good weapons on that team, and Kmet, Robinson, and Mooney.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any reason to believe that this is like, oh, he's gonna have this insane year, either this year, next year, the year after. I mean, he could be really good in a couple of years, but I think whether he is or not the answer, they're gonna treat him like he is, and I think they're gonna keep him around long enough for them to know for sure. I don't think they're gonna he's here to stay probably for the next, at least, barring some like complete drop off. Yeah. He's going to be around for a while.
While you're talking, I was thinking of what potential I think he can reach in his career, and I don't see him getting past like a Baker Mayfield type of player.
Yeah,
I think that's. I don't want to say it's his ceiling, because obviously he's young, and me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Baker, so I view that as somewhat of a low ceiling. But Baker is a franchise quarterback for the Browns. He's not a franchise quarterback for other franchises, but for the Browns, he is, which is on the topic of what is a franchise quarterback. I think Baker.
That's a totally different conversation, but I get what you're saying. And
I think Fields can be that franchise quarterback for the Bears. And just like the Browns, the Bears will probably be obviously more heavily reliant on their defense, which is okay because both teams have stellar defenses, but Fields is just going to have to come in and not throw interceptions and throw maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, I agree. But I always am hesitant to, put these ceilings on players like you were, because you didn't want to say he has a ceiling of a certain
I was a
player,
little hesitant too.
Because things can change so quick in the NFL. I remember when Josh Allen was a terrible quarterback, and then now he's insanely good. And things, I mean, not saying that happens to every quarterback, it's rare, but things can change so quickly in the NFL from year to year, from week to week, that people can look completely unlike themselves. And I would never put it past an athlete like Justin Fields all of a sudden, transform into a generational quarterback, because it could very well happen. I don't think so. I don't think he's good enough for that. I think he's going to be a pretty good player for a while. But I don't see him turning into this insane player. But that's a completely different conversation about a whole career that we know nothing of.
Yeah, but it's just too early. Same with Zach Wilson. Same with Mac Jones. Same with Trevor Lawrence. It's all 4 of them I think are underperforming right now. But I mean, who knows? We'll see. I mean, this is just a conversation to not have right now, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, all right, so let's just move on now from the game itself. Well, actually, let's go to a few questions we have about the Packers. First one coming from Jacob Bray. Do the Packers need to make any moves at the deadline as our injuries keep stacking up?
No.
Why do you say that?
I mean, it's just too early, and this happens every year. I mean, I only say no because of who the Packers are as a franchise, not because I totally disagree that they need to make any moves. I almost signed it as like a non-starter of a question, just because it's like, okay, the Packers, like, what are they really going to do? Why are you really asking this question? I think they're going to.
You asked the question, but they've already made three moves now this year. Rasul Douglas, Quentin Dunbar, and Jalen Smith, and we're in.
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think it could be different this year.
If the question is, are they going to make these moves for smaller name players to help fill in roles? Yeah, probably every franchise does. But like, I know what Bure means. He's talking about like a OBJ or like in like years past, like a Will Fuller or something. And I mean, I know I'm talking about receivers, but it's just, you see it time and time again. And I think the Packers trust their players in-house that are backups, or they'll sign these like Rasul Douglases of the world where they're just his backup. And
I mean, Rasul Douglas,
I don't know how much.
Hats off to him. I think he had a really good game for coming in.
He did. He also almost murdered Justin Fields. So
yeah, I mean, that was a little uncalled for, but I mean, it's just one of those things. It looked like he was already going in for the tackle, and then Fields started to slide. So unless he pulls some superhuman move and just completely stops his body, I mean, there's nothing he could. He obviously had no intent of hurt Justin,
and he apologized after.
They showed him that no hard feelings there.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, hats off. I think he had a really good game filling in for. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, we traded Josh Jackson for Isaac Yiadom or whatever his name is. So if the Giants viewed him as the same value as Josh Jackson, I don't know what we thought we were going to get out of him, but he was ultimately the reason that they scored on the first drive. After they took him out and put in Douglas, things got a lot better.
Did you see when he did that pass interference? He got up and he did like the no-fly zone.
Yeah, I don't like.
And he looked back and I was like, "How you tackled him? You had to have seen that." You got
I hate him. I don't like him. I don't normally hate Packers players. Like I don't. But seeing him I hate certain.
Yeah.
There's times where I will hate players, yes, but genuinely, I still want most of those players on the field. With Isaac Yiadom, I do not want to see him on the field ever. I think he has a PFF coverage grade of 27, which is horrendous. I mean, he's horrible. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to talk about him. He's probably not going to be on the Packers for much longer, if we're being honest.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think we can move on from that whole discussion.
Next, but I guess for my opinion, I don't really see the need for a move right now for the Packers. There's not one like glaring problem with the team like there has been in the past years, I think, when we wanted them to make a move.
Yeah.
Like looking at obviously our wide receivers are playing well. MVS is out. That's our wide receiver 2, obviously.
He'll be back. Is he back next week or what?
I think he can come back next week. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
But once he gets back, that opens up a whole new, section in the playbook of being able to throw the ball deep instead of trying to force it to guys like Lazard or Tanyan or even Adams, who obviously, like I said in recent podcasts, he's great at any part of the field, but you don't want him being your deep route guy.
Did you notice Cobb yesterday? Like not getting any targets?
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't notice him at all. So yes,
I don't like that's happened like 3-4 times. It's so weird. Like there's been one game where he has one catch, but he either has like multiple catches and multiple targets in the game, or
I would like to see him use more. I would like to see him used more. He's shown.
I
think
I agree.
Just trying to save him from injury. I know Rodgers talked about it. I think they're just trying to preserve him. They don't want to, overuse him. He's obviously getting up there in age. He's had injuries in the past. I think they're just trying to preserve him. He's Randall Cobb. He'll come in at any point in the game and be good. There's no doubt about that. But if they don't need him in the game, they're not going to put him in the game, I think.
No, and I get that.
And more than anything right now, I think he's a great mentor for a guy like Amari Rodgers. Obviously, they've known each other for far before they were on the Packers. So I think, and Amari Rodgers had a good catch yesterday. I predicted he would get his first NFL touchdown yesterday. He didn't. I was a little upset by that, but he did have a really nice catch.
And I should have had him instead of Lazard in for that touchdown, and then he would have been.
I am excited to see if he gets implemented in the offense more coming up. I don't envision it right now. just because
Who, Cobb or Rogers?
Rogers. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a nice punt return. I think 2 years from now he'll be really good for us. I think, but
I think
he's just going to get sporadic looks here and there. St. Brown, just want to throw it out there. I think he was robbed of a touchdown 100%. That was very disappointing.
That was such a great throw and such a great catch too.
Great throw, great catch. PI.
He needed that. You know,
I didn't even see the PI that they called him for. I saw the defensive one, which I'm not gonna. I don't think it should have.
Yeah,
been
we don't need to talk about
it.
that.
It should have been no call both ways, and then touchdown right then and there. Very upset about that. That was, which then ultimately led to 3 points for the Packers. So, yeah. Next question we have is from Matt Mauer, the Jalen Smith debut. He played, I think, 17 snaps. I think he got one pressure on the quarterback on a blitz. He had the one play where he got juked out of his shoes on the sideline by Herbert.
I was gonna mention that one play where he had that. It was like that route, and he ran out to it, getting to tackle. And
yeah, I mean,
so well.
He looked fast. It was just a very small sample size. So, I mean, we have our number one linebacker on the interior. Smith adds great. Did play more snaps though than Chris Barnes, which I'm a little upset about because I'm a big Chris Barnes fan. But,
yeah, I'm a huge Chris Barnes guy. I think that Chris Barnes is definitely the second best.
But I think all three of those guys together make a really good inside linebacker trio. And I do expect if the injuries keep stacking up at outside backer, I think Jalen Smith could move into that spot and play some snaps there because I know he did for the Cowboys for a bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
you just got to give him more. There's not much you can really say about Jalen Smith right now.
No,
I think he's got to give more time and stuff. And as long as he's not actively hurting the team, I think it's a positive list that he's just out there and being around the team and learning.
He'll be really good to have out there on for sure passing plays. Obviously, he struggled with the run in the past with the Cowboys, so I think he's a great guy to have out there. He brings speed, physicality, and he can just make some plays, which is what the Packers need.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next question we have here, we already touched on it a bit from Tyler Gowen, the AJ Dillon involvement and what he means to the team. I touched on this last week. I think he's great for the team and he's filling the role of Jamal Williams very well. And that's all I think I really need to say about him right now. Is there anything you wanted to add?
I just really love AJ Dillon. I think he's going to go down as a really good pick in Packers history that people really did not like.
Yeah, I never got that. I mean, I got it because I remember looking through mock drafts and stuff. I would see him in like the 4th or 5th round. So I was a little surprised to see him picked in the 2nd round. But the Packers are a team, if they like a guy, they're going to draft him. Obviously.
Yeah, and they really like him.
We're a good team. We're not drafting for like guys who are like Dillon's a guy who can come in and make an immediate impact. Like he played long in college, I think, 4-year player. That's what we're not looking for. Obviously, people are gonna say, "Oh, what about the Jordan Love?" Well, okay, we need a backup quarterback. Tim Boyle wasn't the future of quarterback at this time. Worst comes to worst, we trade Love. Obviously, I think he's shown very good signs in preseason. Teams could take a chance on him for like a 2nd rounder or something. But yes, AJ Dillon, questionable draft pick at the time, but definitely turned out to be a very good draft pick, I think.
Yeah, and he's only going to do more. So.
And then just the last question here from Jacob Schleicher, the Rodgers deep ball, which very disappointing this year, I think.
Do you have the stats on that? Do you have like the actual percentage on it? I don't.
I think the last.
Find it. I think PFF will have it. It's one of those things where you trust, Rodgers is a good deep ball thrower. Like just because he's a bad percentage doesn't mean he's a bad deep ball thrower. But there's been a lot of plays this year where it's been like, ooh, like that probably should have been a touchdown or that should have been a 50-yard completion, but you kind of forgive it right away. Like I don't usually dwell on it too much because then he will make enough of them, I think, where it makes up for it and you're not thinking to yourself like this guy cannot make these throws, because he can and he has and he will. So I don't think people notice it as much because he has made them so many times, and he's still, even this year he's made some great deep ball throws, he's made enough where people people who aren't really paying attention to it won't notice it.
Yeah, he's definitely missed a lot this year, though. I think
Mhm.
the last time I saw a stat for it, he was 6 of 20 on throws 20 plus yards down the field, which by his standards, it's not good. By any quarterback standards, that isn't good. I think he's close to last in the league. I'm trying to find it here, but what I can think of is obviously he's missed MBS on 3 deep balls.
Yeah.
Uh,
He also has had some good throws, I think, that have been in good coverage or that have been played pretty well. Or I don't know. I don't know. I think he's had some good throws that just haven't been completed. I don't think there's a couple that were pretty bad though. Like against like with MVS, it's like, oh, let's just put that on and like it's a touchdown all day. I think there's one against wasn't that against the Lions, that really bad one?
yeah.
That would have been for sure a touchdown. Yeah.
I have right here a tweet from September 23rd. He was at 27.3% on his on his throws 20 plus yards down the field. League average is 39% at the time.
That was after week 2, so
yeah.
a while ago. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I can't find I know I think the last one I saw was he was 6 of 20 maybe throwing down the field. I'll do my best to find it right now, but
yeah, I don't think it necessarily has gotten a ton better. I'll say that. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope he starts connecting on some of them because we have missed out on a few really big plays that were for sure touchdowns in the past. But yeah, and then just looking ahead now for the Packers, schedule kind of ramps up a bit here. Good teams are going to be playing. This weekend we have the Washington football team, who definitely I thought would be a little bit better this year.
Oh, 100%. I think they're my biggest disappointment this year by far, especially defense.
Yeah.
It's just been bad. It's like I knew if Washington wasn't good, I would be like, oh, well, they're still a good team, but they just can't do anything offensively. But no, I mean, they'll like stop anyone. And it's been discouraging for sure.
I mean, definitely losing Fitzpatrick, I don't think helped.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Big loss for them. I think. Okay, yeah, I'm done looking for his deep ball stats. It hasn't been good. I don't need a stat to see that it hasn't been good. He's missed a lot. And then obviously coming on a short bit of rest after the Washington football team, we are in Arizona for a Thursday night showdown.
Yeah, that's Thursday. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
So that'll be, I think. Well, just a quick prediction for the Washington game. I think we could both agree that the Packers should win that game and will.
They should win that game. It's a home game, and I think we get an extra 7 or 10 points just by wearing those throwback jerseys.
Yes,
so.
Yes, we do. Little disappointed I'm not going to get to see a Jair versus Terry McLaurin matchup. Obviously, over these next few weeks, I'm going to be missing out on a lot of matchups that I would have liked to see him in, but
against D-Hop too. Yeah.
Yep. Looking at Arizona, he could be going up against D-Hop, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, or AJ Green. 4 weapons there. Zach Ertz will probably be playing at that time. I hate to say it, I don't ever like predicting Packers losses, but that'll be a tough game for them, I think.
Come Arizona next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has all the makings of a scheduled loss for sure. On the road Thursday night. Great, like you're playing a good team. It's like it's almost such a scheduled loss that I could totally see the Packers somehow pulling it out.
Exactly, that's what I was just
because I feel like this year they've already surprised me a few times. By the San Francisco game was totally the game where they'd go in and put up 12 points and just fall so flat. But they came out with such a fight that I haven't really seen from them the past couple of years in those weird road games, like in Tampa, like in San Francisco, like against the Chargers in 2019, where they just haven't done anything. Yeah, they already did that this year against the Saints. Yeah. I think that was a lot. That Saints,
I don't like to not count games, but that Saints game was
no, it doesn't even.
I mean, I think it's clear and obvious that that's not what the Packers team was going to be this year. Like I said after the game, I
think it makes it even easier to discount it just by the fact that they have come out so strong on the road and won these games already. That like if we lose to Arizona, I don't think you're going to find a single fan, unless it's like we blow a lead. If we lose to Arizona, I don't think you're going to find anyone who's like, how could we lose this game?
I think
it's one of those scheduled losses for sure.
You're just beyond ecstatic if you win, but if you lose, it's whatever. We'll be 7-2 or 6-2 at that point with a loss. Much better than I expected to be at this point in the season.
Yeah, with a 2-game lead on the division too. already.
Yes,
So
with a
that's big.
division that doesn't look too good, anyways. Like it hasn't been good for a while, sadly.
I'm pretty interested in the Chiefs game the next week after that. We are talking about, this is almost a month away, a little less than a month away already with the Chiefs. So it is a far way away. I think the Chiefs have been right next to like Washington as most disappointing in a way different way, because disappointing for the Chiefs means not undefeated or with one loss. Disappointing means they're
500 record.
Are they? Week. Yeah, 3-3, and it's like, I think they showed a lot at the end of the game. Obviously, it was during the Packers game, so I wasn't watching.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch too much of it.
But knowing that they were down like 13-10 and ended up winning like 31-13, I think it just goes to show that Chiefs still are so explosive that it doesn't matter how much you're up by or how late it is. Like, so much can happen so quickly that you've always got to be, pressing on their necks. And that I wouldn't say I'm worried about the game and stuff. This is still so far away that so much can happen between now and then. We can't really talk about it with much specificity. But I am just excited as a football fan, just to hopefully see Aaron Rodgers play against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it'll be a great game. There's no doubt in my mind. And I'm glad that we will be in a position as a football team to be able to just sit back and enjoy that one, because
hopefully,
it should be very high scoring. Rodgers, Mahomes, Hill, Adams. There's just so much that'll be. Although that'll be a good test for the Packers defense.
And you'd want
on the game.
And I really hope by that point, 3 weeks on the line, that we found out that Jair does not need surgery and he's going to play through the Braves.
Well,
that would be by that point we would know, I think, if he's going to get surgery or not.
I believe he can come back for the Arizona game if things are healing correctly and he is ready to go. I think the Washington game is the last game he has to sit out, because he missed the Bengals, missed the Bears, and then Washington. So that's 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I don't think they would throw him out there right away.
I mean, we don't know about the injury right now.
No, we know nothing. Yeah. So
I mean, for all we know, the decision could already be made that he's getting surgery, or decision could be made he's coming back after this week. We know nothing, which I think is fine. I mean, no news is good news, I think, right now with Jay.
For now.
We're in no hurry to get him back. I gave my hats off to Rasul Douglas, also to Eric Stokes. Very good game. He was targeted 3 times, gave up 3 catches, but only 1 yard after the catch, which, I mean, they're playing, it looked like a lot of cover 2, just keeping things in front of them as best as they could. And he was right there to make the play as soon as his guy would catch it. So very, very excited to watch him. Kevin King will be back. He played good against the Bengals. Kevin King is one of those guys I hate, but I know we need him on the field, because
I'm a big Kevo guy. Yeah, because he's just he gets hated and so much of it's deserved, but he still does.
A lot of it's deserved.
It's such a
he doesn't get the recognition when he deserves it either.
No, it's such a self-fulfilling prophecy. People look for him to mess up so much, and that's just the worst place you can be in as a cornerback, because you will mess up. There will be catches on you, and most of the time it's like some of them have just been really bad. But it's just frustrating as a fan, because when he does play well, or when he does make a good play, because he is capable of that. If you're starting in the NFL, you're not bad. I stand by that forever. I'll forever stand by that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not defending him. Like, he has made very questionable plays, but I think he does get a lot of unnecessary hate outside of when he does make a bad play.
He doesn't get the problem is he just doesn't get the recognition when he does make the plays. Like, people say, oh yeah, well, he's supposed to do that, but like, we salute other guys for making these plays, so he deserves it just as much.
Yeah. Anyway,
Seattle.
And then I think Seattle's tough to talk about, because that's the game Russ is scheduled to come back for.
I mean,
that's like, and Russ, he definitely would want to come back for that. Like,
obviously, it's Russ and Lambeau, and he has a bad history there. That doesn't work.
No, Seattle and Lambeau I don't think they've won in Lambeau in a long time. We beat them there in the divisional, and then whatever. We can get into it later.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I have a good feeling about that game. I think there's a very good chance Seattle at that point is a little bit sputtering. There might be like 3-6 by that point.
Yeah, they don't look very good right now. Their defense is horrible. Offense being run by Geno Smith, obviously not the ideal case for them, but it's Chris Carson. I think he can come back that week. So I don't see that being too tough of a game for Green Bay. They'll be excited to come back after 2 tough road games.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. I think that'd be a good. I think if they lose one of those games against Arizona,
And hopefully by that point we should have Jair back too.
Yep.
So
Hopefully.
yeah, Seattle, not a big worry. So right now, over the next 6 games, we have them. What? I mean, we didn't really make a prediction for the Kansas City game.
I think we can say Arizona's a loss. I'd like to say Kansas City would be a win. I don't necessarily have a specific prediction. I'd like to think the Packers go 1-1. I think they do win one of those games. I don't see them losing both.
I mean, I don't see them losing both, and I much see them winning both those games just because it's the Packers, and they're a lot better.
So I think it's fair to say after the Seattle game, I think we can see them at 3-1.
Yeah,
through that little 4-game stretch. But then Minnesota, I can't put my finger on Minnesota yet. I actually haven't seen too many of their games because I think they've been a lot of times at the same time as the Packers game, or I'm watching another game. I think, like I said, I think they're better than their record shows. Kirk Cousins is not playing bad. I think he's playing pretty well. Devin Cook
playing
is
very
back.
well this year.
I think there's a lot to like about the Vikings,
but
it's just like, can they push forward and actually do something about it? Or are they just going to always be that team that is not that bad, but they don't have the record to show it? Because they're 3-3 right now. They very well could be 5-1 or 4-2. 4-2.
It's a noon game at Minnesota, so I mean it's not a night game. It'll be I just think at that point the Packers.
It's a tough one. They had.
What's up?
What were you saying at that point? What?
I just think at that point the Packers, right now specifically, I don't think the Packers offense has hit their rhythm yet. So I'm hoping by that point they're in rhythm. The defense will still be rolling. I don't see us losing to Minnesota. It's just one of those, like the Bears, Rodgers will forever own that team. And
yeah, I don't see us losing to Minnesota either, but I also didn't see us losing to Minnesota last year. And we did. And that was a very weird game where Delvin Cook ran for 500 yards. And it just was one of those games where they still shouldn't have lost it.
It's just one of those games where you can't predict, that's going to happen. Okay, we're going to suck at throwing the ball and everything else. And Dalvin Cook is just going to run all over us. Which also another thing I want to touch on with the Packers for improved players is Dean Lowry, I think, has played very well this year.
Yeah, he's been awesome his last couple of games. He wasn't great to start the year, but he's been pretty good lately.
He's had a few bat downs at the line. He's been in the backfield a lot. So Dean Lowry, good for you. I've always been a big Dean fan, as many people might know.
So I think we can say we'll win in Minnesota. We'll just put that down as a win. So now we're sitting at a pretty 4-1 through these next 5 games.
And then
we get the Rams.
Which, like the Chiefs game, I think will just be a shootout.
Is that going to be is that a Sun? I know
that's a 3:25
3 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Fox Game of the League. Yeah, I'm excited for that game. I really hope we do go 4-1 over the next 5, just so the fact that we would be 9-2, and they'll probably be the same record going into that game, because that would be a really hyped up game. I think it'd be a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah. We get a rematch.
I don't know. That one's tough, dude. That's such a difficult game to predict, and the Rams are so good. And I'd love to say we'd win, but man, it's tough, and it's far enough away where it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, I think this is one, obviously, long time to go until the bye week. So we're trying to predict all these games that are a month and a half out, just about. But I mean, right now, with the way the Packers are playing and how they're winning games, I don't see them losing, because unless it's one of those
at home too.
Unless it's one of those weird blowout games where, nothing that's supposed to happen happens and it's all wrong for the Packers, which, I mean, we're still waiting for one more game, at least one more of those games this year.
There's going to be somewhere in
Arizona game. I could see it being the Rams game. I don't know.
It's hard for me to see that happening at home. That's the thing. That's why it's more likely to happen, I think, in Arizona or Kansas City than at home. But I just it's so tough. I don't want to get into too specific on the game scores. I'd like to think we can go 4-5, 4-2 over the next 6 weeks. I think that's I think 4-2 we could be happy with.
Yes, even 3-3, I think we could be happy.
I think 3-3 you could be
because you have
if
three
we come out of
really
this
tough
and we're
road games.
yeah, I
Really
think if you
tough.
come out of it and you're 8 and what would be 8-4,
8-4-ish, yeah.
I think if you're 8-4, but then you know what sucks is that it's not like the Packers schedule all of a sudden like gets easier.
No, we still have to play the Vikings again, still have to play the Bears again. We played the Browns, the Ravens.
And the Ravens in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I've never seen a more scheduled loss than that. Knowing
that brings me to the next of the 1-loss teams, or I guess 0-loss teams, Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, Ravens, Bills, Rams, and Cardinals. Which one do you think poses the most problems for the Packers? Because I'll leave it at the we'll not talk about the Ravens and Bills yet, because
no, we don't need to talk about AFC teams.
But for between the Bucks, Cowboys, Rams, and Cardinals, which one poses the biggest threat to the Packers?
I think it's between the Bucks and the Rams.
Okay.
Just because I don't know, I'd like to say the Cardinals, but I haven't seen enough out of them. I know they're a really good team, but they're so unproven.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyler Murray is going to be really good, and I think they'll go far in the playoffs, maybe, but they also could lose the first game of the playoffs as like that classic upset. You know what I mean?
I mean, the thing is, I think the NFC is up for grabs this year. There's no clear cut. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's early. It's very early, but I mean, we could be looking at like even a team like, I'm trying to think. Well, we have the Rams. So I guess, I think these would be the 4 or 5 teams that are, who's going to win out of these guys. The Cowboys, I think, are the biggest surprise out of that team for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I'm also like, I think the Packers would match up really well against these Cowboys. But we don't play them. So if we played them and be in the playoffs, we would have no idea. I'm a firm believer we're going to somehow find a way to play the Cowboys in the playoffs. I can just see it happening right now.
I mean, the thing is, like, it more likely than not will be in Green Bay. And even if it isn't, I still view, how Rodgers is in Dallas. But I think that's.
I would not be worried about a lot if we played the Cowboys, but I can just see that happening.
But I mean, I don't want to say I wouldn't be worried about loss, but if it was in Dallas, I think a lot of the hype coming into that game would be, oh, look at Rodgers' record in Dallas, blah, blah, blah. And then it could just be a complete,
totally
crap the bed. But I mean, the Packers haven't done that in the playoffs, really. I mean, you could maybe say the NFC Championship against the 49ers, but they were just such a good team that year.
Yeah, that wasn't even. It was more about the Niners than it was with the Packers.
Yeah, I mean,
but no, I will say the team I'm most worried about, or not worried about, the team I'm the most respect for is the Buccaneers, because they are the champions. They are the team that we've played twice and lost to twice. We haven't shown we can beat them yet. So
I feel like they're a little quiet right now. Like, there's not too much talk about them. I do think the Packers match up better against them this year right now, just because of the injuries that they have on defense. Did you catch any of that?
It got kind of laggy.
It said my connection was unstable. I just said Buccaneers have a lot of injuries on defense right now, so I think the Packers match up better against them this year than last year.
Yep, and yeah, I agree. I think I would still, every time we play them, I'd like us to win. But until we do, I think the Buccaneers are still the team that I would want to play the least. I'd rather play the Rams.
I can agree with that. I can agree that I would want to play them the least, just because of all the things that go along with playing it. The Buccaneers. Yep. All right.
Well, is there anything else we want to say about the Packers? I think we covered them pretty extensively.
Yeah, I think that was a good talk about the Packers. Obviously, now coming up for our Wisconsin sports fans, our NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. Right here. Show the hat, Steve.
Oh,
I know you want to. There it is. Our NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks get their ring tomorrow night.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Their next journey.
Are you going to be watching? Are you going to be seeing this ceremony for sure?
Of course I
will. At 5:45. Yeah.
As long as it's on TV, I will be watching every second of it. Very excited to watch it. Because obviously we were 10 or 11 years old when the Packers did it, so we can only remember so much from that. But this is our first real experience of a championship.
Well, I should say for the
I don't care about your Blackhawks.
For the crowd watching. No, I will say I wasn't a Packers fan until probably 8th grade freshman year.
I thought you were going to talk.
So I did get to see I got to see my Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2008.
Okay.
So I remember that very well.
Good for you.
Antonio, his feet were down, his toes were down. But yes, I mean, I did see the Blackhawks win, but it's different. I've seen them win 3 times, and every single time I was just in my house, excited. And I went to the parade once, and that was really cool. But the personal connection that we all carried with this Bucks team is just it's unparalleled, because we'll never be closer to a team, because the Bucks win it when we're 45. Are we going to be excited about it? You bet we will. Is it going to be like this? No.
It was a perfect time for it to
and
happen.
we're going to be invested in our careers and our lives and our family. It's just going to be a completely different experience.
Our main focus
for it to happen,
sports.
For it to happen when it did, it could not have been more perfect. And it's still like once they give out those rings, once the ball is tipped, we move on.
Yep. I mean, for me right now, it still doesn't even feel real that happened, and I don't think it will until I see the team putting on their rings. That for me is when everything will finally feel somewhat real.
Just like it didn't feel real that we were in the finals until I saw the game start, and they were getting ready for the national anthem. They were in their finals jackets. And
like, that for me was
we're actually in the finals. We're actually here, and it won't feel real that we actually won. Yeah. So I can totally agree with that. I'm excited to watch James Harden have to see that happen. That'll be fun.
Yep.
But I think one thing I'm excited for I'm a little nervous and excited for the game, because it's going to get treated like it's some big playoff game. It's game 1. Giannis and Chris and Drew are not going to magically play 38 minutes because it's a big game against the Nets. Like,
I don't envision Giannis playing more than maybe 27 minutes, I'll say is my
guess. And Chris and Drew and Bobby's out and Shemi Ojeley's out. Which does not help for depth at all. But Bud is not going to be treating this game like, man, we got to prove that we're actually the champs. No, you have absolutely nothing to prove.
We already
did beat you. Who cares? Like, if I want us to win really badly. I think ituld be awesome to win on ring.
We're not okay with losing, but
no. But if they I'm just saying, I hate opening night of the NBA because people make these sweeping observations about teams when they know next to nothing about them, and people if the Bucks lose, it's going to be like, oh, fraud. But I'm just excited for the ring ceremony. I want them to win so we can look back on that ring ceremony with a little more.
Are you going to the game or no?
No.
Okay.
I'll be back up at school. It'll be a very fun game. It's a hot ticket for that game. Upper level seats are over like $200. So
deservingly so. One thing I want to touch on just for the Bucks this year and Bucks fans is, I think a lot of pressure comes off of everyone's shoulders now that we have that ring. We'll make the playoffs. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, I take everything I own, put that on the Bucks making the playoffs. Like, this is going to happen. So we don't have to get upset or worry during this year. We don't have to go through a whole phase where there's 5 million people on Twitter with a Fire Bud profile picture. Do I envision that still happening? Probably yes. There will be people saying, "Oh, Fire Bud, this and that." But I mean, for me personally, I just get to relax and enjoy these games and not look back on the past and all the hatred I have for some things that happened in the past with certain players who proved me this postseason. We won't touch too much on that.
No, we don't need to talk about that. And I cannot agree with you more. Even during the playoffs, before we actually won the title, part of me was like, can we just win the title and get this over with? Because I can't wait to just watch basketball. It wasn't even basketball by game 6. It was a different entity. Like, I was not sitting there thinking about different, like, how the Bucks are running their schemes and like who they're running the ball through. I just was like, just win. I did not want to be standing there anymore. I just wanted to win, get it over with, feel the excitement, because I was so far beyond the game of basketball at that point. That now I get, like you said, we get to enjoy this year. There is no talks of Giannis leaving. There is no talks of Giannis being a franchise player that can win a championship. There is no talk of Bud being a coach or if the front office made the right moves. That's all gone. And there's nothing you can ever say ever again about if they made the right moves or if they're that team that can do it or that guy that can do it. So it's just going to be such a, and like you said, last year was such a hellish season, even though they weren't bad. But like, if you remember when they lost that 5-game stretch in February?
Yes.
That was punctuated by back-to-back losses to the Raptors.
Yes.
Oh, that was like the darkest time. There's no fans. There's no excitement. Everyone wants to fire Bud. The season's in disarray. The Bucks are broken. It was like the most depressed I've ever been with the Bucks. I mean, I wasn't, but like this, the whole season was so depressing.
Yeah, I mean,
there just won't. Yeah,
we just won't feel
I
that.
don't see that happening.
That
won't happen.
About a 5-game losing streak in February. Like, what does that mean? We're gonna make the playoffs. Okay, I don't care what seed we are. Obviously,
it didn't matter.
As Bucks fans, we can see we were the 1 seed last 2 years, first round exit or second round exit and conference finals exit. This year we're the 3 seed. We win everything. I think we can see now. I mean, like, obviously it's important. Like, you want home court throughout the playoffs, but like, you can. We are battle tested now. We won Game 7 on the road in Brooklyn. We won Game 6 on the road in Atlanta. We won Game 5 on the road in Phoenix.
Yeah,
we're battle tested. We have guys now with experience under their belt. We have arguably, I don't think there's too much to argue about it, but we have arguably the greatest player currently in the NBA right now on our team.
At worst, top 3. At
the very worst, top 3.
Yeah.
We are battle tested. We are capable of anything at this point. We're playing without pressure, which I think will open up more things for Giannis's jump shot. I think he doesn't have to worry about it so much. He can just start, free. Like, I mean, we saw it in the preseason. He's looked very good with his jump shots. Obviously, just the preseason. But, I mean, I think we see that develop this year. We see guys like, maybe Dante DiVincenzo taking another step. I'm not sure what his role with the team will be yet, but, maybe he becomes more of a consistent 3-point shooter this year. There's just so much pressure off everyone's shoulders that, we'll see Bobby Portis again this year, Brooke Lopez. I just think it's going to be a good year for the Bucks. I really do.
I totally agree. Back to your point about the road thing. Don't forget, they also won games 3 and 4 against Miami. Yeah, they were a bad team. They sucked. But still to the first road games of the playoffs to go in there. It was the first time. People forget it was the first time with a full crowd that the Bucks played. It was in Miami. It wasn't in Milwaukee. You were at Game 1. That it was not full capacity. It was in Miami, and they went in there and they blew them out both games. Game 4 was a little weird, but like that just goes to show, like, you can be the road seed and it doesn't really affect too much, which is exactly what happened. But another thing, it's not just that the Bucks are playing with no pressure; they're also playing with unlimited confidence now. Like Giannis with more confidence and more trust that what he does works, because it does wonders for everyone. And now there's going to be no pressure and added confidence to the whole team. And the bench got better. I don't think you're going to find anyone who's going to argue with that.
No.
You lose Forbes.
Yeah, yes.
And you gain Grayson Allen, who looks really good.
Yes, very excited. I know there's a lot of Badger fans who weren't too happy about the Grayson Allen pickup, but I mean, I think a lot of halfway through the year, I think that'll all be put behind everyone, and it'll be a big hit in Milwaukee for sure.
You're still hanging on to Grayson Allen, and I'm a huge Badgers fan, and I hated him for a while. If you're hanging on to it now, you're just immature. I'm going to go out and say it. If you can't handle it and be like a professional player playing for a professional team because he beat your college team and he's had some issues, but not really in the NBA. He hasn't really had many mix-ups in the NBA so far. Just get over it, grow up. That's all.
Like, hey, I'm saying as a Bucks fan,
he's going to help your team.
If Chris Chiozza
can help your team win,
Bucks, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, and start playing well for us, I'd have no problem. Another guy who killed our season that's a whole different story.
Wait, who did you say?
Chris Chiozza from Florida.
Oh.
That shot.
Don't shut up. I don't even know his name. I don't know his name.
He's on the Nets.
He's on the Nets?
Yep. He played in the
I didn't even. No, he didn't. I totally missed that.
Yeah?
Oh, my God. I also like that we have George Hill back.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, the fact that we won a title with Jeff Teague taking the ball up. Now, I will never disrespect Jeff Teague because of Game 6 in Atlanta. I think he made some very questionable plays. In fact, he was playing in the finals.
Also made some good plays. He was not
making good plays.
When Giannis went out, he came in and made some plays.
Yeah, no, I know. But the fact that Jeff Teague was bringing up the ball, in the finals game, was saying, I think I have a lot more trust for like a George Hill And the one player who I have the least trust in right now, I think Shemi Ojai is going to be good. I don't think there's a lot of expectations around him offensively. I think he's going to be a defensive player.
I think he's going to have to fill in the defensive role of PJ Tucker. That's what we got.
Yeah. George Hill's going to be fine because we already know what he can do. Grayson Allen's already shown a lot. I think Rodney Hood's going to be the big question. I think he's the one who I'm a little most worried about being good. I don't think there's a ton of pressure on him, obviously. Like, he doesn't need to be an amazing player, but he's the one player that I'm.
Hood. That's all I'm going to say. I think he has a good year with us.
Rodney Hood, I hope so. I could see it, but I also could see him being like I don't want to go so far to say being the Torrey Craig of this year, but I could see him just not quite panning out.
Yeah, I just want you to get his nickname down now. It is Hot Rod Hood. Okay, I will be saying that throughout the season or until he's traded to Phoenix for cash considerations like Torrey Craig.
Yeah.
Does Torrey Craig get a ring?
Does he? I don't think so. I guess we'll find out when we go to Phoenix.
Yeah. Or when Phoenix.
Wait, who else? Who else would get a ring?
DJ Wilson.
Oh yeah, DJ definitely.
DJ better get a ring.
He better get a ring. Wait, we're never gonna play him. He's not on a team.
Bring him back. Bring him back. No, the question I have for you:
Jabari Parker get a ring?
No, if anyone
brings him back from the South,
Maker, just for his 5 block performance against
Tony Snell. It's Tony Snell. Shout out Snell season back on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
Excited about that. Anyway, we're getting
it said he joined on August, and I didn't see it until today.
So I know. I actually scrolled back to see how long he's been on. It's been a while. You said you wanted to do some MVP predictions. All right.
Before we do that, I just have one question for you. Where is Jeff Teague in the NBA right now?
Did anyone pick him up? How do you not pick up a guy who had 12 points in the elimination game of the Eastern Conference Finals? Is my question.
Teague. His basketball reference has him on. I don't think he's on a team right now.
No, he'll get picked up. He can still play.
Yeah, definitely.
He'll get picked up somewhere while we're bringing him back.
All right, but yeah, MVP predictions now, just to finish up the podcast. Who's your prediction for MVP? I'm curious.
I think I would love to say Giannis. I think he could win it. I think he easily could win it. Like, I don't think it's much of a stretch to say he could win it. I think it'd be hard for him to win it because he's not going to be playing as much as other players.
Exactly what I was going to say.
And to be fair, didn't he win MVP in 1920 being like the lowest average minutes of any MVP? I think he did. But his stats were to be fair, if he puts up undeniable stats, let's say all of a sudden he increases 5% on a 3-pointer, his free throws go up by like 7-8%. Mm-hmm. If he does put up 31 a game or something and like 4 assists and he still puts up 13 rebounds, if his stats are undeniable and the Bucks are top 3 in the East, there's not much you can say.
A lot of the Giannis slander came from, he was a playoff fraud.
Now that he's proved that, there's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can mark off against him.
Yeah.
So if his stats are undeniable, you got to give it to him.
Against him, that he's very good in the regular season anymore.
I mean, I could see Steph winning it. I think the Warriors are going to be a lot better. I could see him having another great year. I could see him having a great year. It's tough. I don't see Jokic repeating. I just can't see that happening. I don't think Embiid is going to have quite. I think the Sixers are really being overlooked, which they deservedly kind of should be. But you look at a lot of like metrics and like predictions on the year, Sixers are still a top 3 team in the East. Like, sure. I think they still will get it. I think they'll still be the 3rd seed behind the Nets and Bucks. I think they'll be right there. They're still a really good team that has gotten a lot of hate because they blew it in the playoffs, and I hate Philadelphia. Like, I have a lot of hate for that franchise.
For sure.
But with the whole Ben Simmons issue, I don't think they're going to quite flop as bad as people think they will this year. Embiid's still an MVP level player. I don't think he's going to win it, but he's easily in that conversation with like Giannis, Steph, or Jokic will still be top 5, I think. But I don't see LeBron winning it. I just think he's got too much else going on.
I think it's stupid of you to
And
put him in this conversation, and we're gonna stop him.
no, it's not stupid. What's your prediction? I just want to know. I think I honestly, I'm gonna say Giannis is gonna win it because I think he's gonna put up too good of numbers, and there's nothing gonna hold him back from getting the vote.
That's a fair point, but like you said, my heart wants to pick Giannis, but I think he's gonna sit a lot of games this year now for sure because he's still obviously nursing that knee injury, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But Art says Giannis. He'll put up good numbers. I just don't know if he'll play enough games or enough minutes to put up undeniable MVP numbers. I want to say Embiid because I think last year he could have won it, and I think this year he gets even better. So I think my MVP pick right now, before the season starts, is Joel Embiid. And
Wow, yeah.
I hate to say
I mean, yeah, but the Sixers would have to be really good though. They will have to be like top 3 if you have to win it, I think.
I that's just my pick.
Yeah, I'm looking up the favorites. Like I'm looking up the betting favorites, and we totally forgot about Luka.
No,
So
I don't think it'll be Luka. My underdog pick, before you read any of the, I don't know if he's going to be up there, but my underdog pick for MVP this year is Jason Tatum.
No, he's not on there. The favorites are like Giannis, Steph, Embiid, Durant. If Kyrie just doesn't play,
I could see Durant.
There's a chance Durant could win it if he stays healthy. Yeah, Harden's there. Harden also has an outside chance, but that's sad.
I just have this feeling that it's going to be Embiid this year.
Yeah, I could see it. He's gonna have another great year. They'll maybe beat the Bucks in one game, and it'll be the highlight of their season.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. Did you want to do? Well, I don't know. What seed are the Bucks? Did we really talk about that? I think
no,
the Bucks.
I mean, I think we can just well, I think I'll just give my top 5 for the East predictions this year. I don't want to put the Bucks at the 1 seed, but I don't see them not being the 1 seed this year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do a quick top 5. I think it'll go Bucks, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Miami, Philly.
Yeah, I think I have the same 5. I think I have the same top 3. Well, no, different top 3. I have Bucks, Nets, Sixers.
Okay.
Philly, then the Heat. I think the Heat don't quite. Heat aren't a regular season built team.
Yeah, hold on. You said Bucks.
Games.
You said Bucks, Nets, Sixers, Philly, and then the Heat. Did you mean Atlanta?
Oh, my bad. Bucks, Nets, Sixers, Atlanta, Miami.
Yeah.
So I just don't see the Heat aren't like a regular season 50+ winning team. They're like a good team that'll be good in the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be whatever. And then I don't know. I think the Bulls are vastly overrated. I do not see them being quite as good as people think they will be. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be like the 6th seed at best.
No, I think they'll be a play-in team. They're not better. I don't think they'll be better than Boston.
No.
Don't think they'll be better than. I mean, at that point, that's anybody else I name will be play-in, right? Because it's 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, but 7, 8 are still like right there. I always think of it as like previous seeding.
I think at best the Bulls this year are the 7 seed.
Yep, I can see that.
But and then in the West, I don't think we need to touch on the West. We'll just for looking here at the odds right now, Bucks over under for wins 54.5.
It's massive
under. You're taking the over on that.
Yes.
I think there are 50.
Bucks are going to pull out a 15 game win streak this year again. I can see it.
I see them winning 51. That's my prediction.
51? No, that'd be a bad year.
I can't say
win 51 games.
I can't say that and have them at the 1 seed. I guess I'll just take that right at maybe 55, 56 wins.
I think that'd still be a good year. I could totally see that.
Yeah, like we said before, I don't care about the regular season.
It doesn't matter. I just want to watch some fun basketball and no one get hurt, and then
basketball, no one gets hurt, and we're in the playoffs. Beautiful. All right. I think that's everything though. Are we all good? Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on? All right. All good.
That's all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for stopping in for Wisco Sports Pod with Dom, episode 3. Thank you, Steven, for coming on.
I had a great time.
Not sure how long that was, but it was definitely a good time. Definitely going to make it for a good video. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see everyone on Thursday.